Hey guys, my name's Justin and welcome to Hellsborough, where we care about the design behind designer luxury. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about something that I'm obsessed with, and that is Margiela Tabi boots. Also, before anyone freaks out, I did like wipe off the bottom and clean them so that it's not as gross when I'm like touching these. So these are like clean. So chances are, if you are at least like a little into fashion, you've at least heard of or maybe seen these, but if not, no worries, I'll give a little bit of background for those. But they are extremely polarizing. I find that there's typically a love it or hate it camp, and I for one am in the love it, can't get over them, always thinking about them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year camp. I'm gonna put these down. For a little bit of background, the Tabi boot is of course inspired by the Tabi sock, which is a pretty, I think, well-known part of Japanese culture, but where the actual boot came from was Martin Margiela. During his first runway in 1988, he introduced this really, people have described it as grotesque boot down the runway, and he actually had his model step in red paint to really emphasize this like cloven hoof shape of the boots. From then, there was such a strong reaction, and eventually they became cult classics, and then now I would almost say they're starting to get close to the mainstream, at least as far as how well people know about it, but I still think that because of their shape, they're never ever really gonna get mainstream. That being said, if you ask any of the fashion girls, they're huge, right? And now I kind of want to talk about why they're, I guess, so important for me. One of the things about my fashion sense is I love things that are unexpected, funny, and sometimes a little bit stupid, and that's kind of what makes me love things. Like this is stupid. This is a nose ring that covers your mouth and goes in your mouth sometimes when you're talking. This jacket is stupid because it doesn't, it's meant to like fall off your shoulder while still like staying on your shoulder. It's not the most practical thing. And that's kind of the same thing about these Tabi boots. I mean, quite frankly, if you took away the Tabi detail, it would just be a very clean, minimalist boot. It's beautiful and the materials are great, but then it really is all about that specific detail that gets people excited, or maybe even like grossed out and curious. And that's the thing that's the most important for me. I love when clothing has like small details that really help define it, and then that becomes the whole essence of it. And I guess for me, like, having a Tabi boot kind of not only was like, I don't know if this is weird to say like on the internet, it was kind of like a checkpoint in life for me, in that I was able to finally like own like a piece of fashion history in a way where like some people's goals are,
I want a Jimmy Choo shoe for my party,
or
I want to wear Louboutins for my wedding.
but for me it was like, I want to get to a place where I can actually have these boots and like not be afraid to wear them. Speaking of wearing them, I wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like to wear these. I know that there are people who like show these on TikTok, but one thing that I haven't really seen is what it feels like to wear these. That actually ended up being like the #1 question I get whenever I wear Tabi boots is like, doesn't it feel weird? Or like, oh my gosh, those look so uncomfortable. I guess they do look uncomfortable, but like, honestly, these are my most comfortable pair of shoes. Basically, this is gonna be so underwhelming when I say this. It basically just feels like you're wearing like flip-flops. But like if you think about it, it really is just, this is the one point of the shoe that's weird. Like I said, this, well, without that, this just looks like a normal boot. But then you add that in, and that is really just it. It just feels like you're wearing like a thick leather sock with your flip-flops. I'm really selling these, oh yeah. Everyone, go get yours now. And then like, of course they're heels, but because the heel is like so chunky, it really is like, it's pretty stable. It's not like you're like wearing like a stiletto or anything. I love that it's like this like giant circle because it just is super stable because of it. I would actually say the weirdest part about this shoe is the closure. So you'd think there would be like some sort of lacing, zippers, maybe even elastic, but there's these 3 thick cords where you just like lock it in and then it just stays there. I mean, it operates fine, but like, it's strange, right? Like, I don't think I've ever seen this. I guess one of the weirder parts of wearing these shoes is like how like the sock action happens. Sock action. So I have a pair of Tabi sneakers that actually came with a pair of socks. They have like the split toe detail from it. But okay, I'm gonna be honest. I can't afford these like $70 socks from Margiela or like any other place really. So I just have like regular socks. I feel like an idiot. So this is my foot and then this is like my big toe right here. So what I do is actually go on the internet, Justin. Show everyone your weird things that you do for your outfits every day. So what I do is I actually like will use my finger and like pull the fabric in and like clutch the fabric between my big toe and the rest of my foot and then slide my foot into the shoe. Because I don't have like hundreds of dollars to spend on socks and I already have a crap ton of socks, so solution. And then the best thing when you take your shoes off, you have this still and then you can, and honestly, like, even though like this looks honestly insane, you don't really feel it when you're wearing it. But in general, like, these are actually one of my more comfortable pairs of shoes. I actually have some sneakers that are less comfortable than these. So next time you see someone wearing these and you ask if they're comfortable, you already know the answer. And now I'm gonna show you my collection. Oh, I'm already holding the first pair. I call them my first pair. These are actually my first pair. I got these actually from Essence on sale. They're like the quintessential Tabi shape with that, you know, I don't know what height of boot this is, but they're just a plain black basic, so then really the detail that stands out is these. And for the longest time, I actually didn't wear these out because I was afraid to, because I didn't want to mess them up. I think the first time I actually wore these was after I moved to Sweden, which I think was me being like, yeah, I'm starting off with the right foot in this new place to make a good life for myself. I don't know. I'm like weirdly sentimental like that, but these are absolutely like a very important shoe for me now because they mean so much to me. I feel like these are a staple for any of the fashion girlies out there. Like, get a pair of these. My next pair are the weird ones. Well, okay, they're not the weirdest, but they're these like beige color that actually like, I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but they actually kind of like match my skin tone. So my favorite thing is when Margiela was designing these, I think he said something like the intention was to make a shoe that almost disappeared, so it was as if a heel was growing out of your foot or something like that. So because these match my skin tone, I love wearing them. I feel like they like look like I'm just like barefoot with like a weird like cloven hoof. What more do you want from a shoe that's like meant to be grotesque than something extremely grotesque like that? One of the things too is like the leather is so soft on these, especially when I'm wearing this pair, you can kind of like see a little bit of the outline of my toes when I'm wearing them, so it just makes it a little bit more like freaky. All right, we're going in chronological order. I don't know if that matters. So the next pair I wanted to talk about are actually not Tabi boots at all. They are Tabi sneakers, but this is from the collab with Reebok. So it's basically just like the plain Reebok whatever white shoe, but then they added the Tabi to it. I love these as travel shoes because they're so comfortable, but they also are still like a little unexpected, and you can still have a little bit of a fashion moment even if you're wearing just like whatever frumpy stuff. These aren't like my favorite because they're just like white sneakers, but when I'm looking for something casual but still a little weird to freak out everyone. And my most recent pair, which I actually unboxed in my winter sale haul video. Wait, is that the right, that way? No, that way. Right now, these are my favorite pair. They are a pair of black tabbies, but then they are covered in white paint. Not like white shoe dye or anything like that, but like actually like, I feel like latex paint or something like that, because like the whole shoe used to be white. You can see the brush strokes, but now like I've worn them a few times and you can start to see like the sole is cracking and the black is coming through. And then one thing that I actually love is that the paint is actually finally starting to crack after a few times wearing it. So like in that video I mentioned how, of course, we have like the physical materials of shoes. We have leather, wood for like the heels or whatever, plastic. But then one of the materials that makes up this kind of shoe is actually time, which I think is beautiful. I think one of my favorite things about it is that, like, of course, like when you wear it, it's like, oh, these are mine. But even when I'm not wearing it, you can still see how they're mine because I had worn them. I don't know if that makes sense, but just having the impact of like me using and loving an item and then seeing that impact actually on the item, I think is such a beautiful thing. Get some kissing. I will say that because these boots are painted in white, they aren't as soft as the other ones. I guess because the paint made like a weird texture or coating on the outside, so they feel a bit more firm and not as supple, but they're starting to soften up now that I've worn them a few times, and I think these really are gonna stay my favorites for at least a little while. Alright, so that was a little insight into why I am obsessed with Tabi boots. So please let me know, like, do you have any Tabi boots? Do you hate Tabi boots? Like, do you want to insult me because you hate my shoes so much? Let me know in the comments below. So if you liked this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It lets me know that you like this kind of content and that you too care about the design behind designer luxury. Until next time, they're in love. Oh, bye.